Hey, what's up everyone? This is Matt Kim with IGN. I'm here at BlizzCon 2023, and I'm here with Morgan Day and George Vela from the World of Warcraft team. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good show so far?
Absolutely.
Well, nice. Wow, big news. Not one expansion, not two expansions, three expansions. Tell us a little bit more about the decision to drop the roadmap that far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think Metzen did a great job of kind of laying out the goals there, right? We were talking a lot about, hey, 20 years of World of Warcraft, that's super exciting. How can we meet this moment with something equally as epic? So something like the Worldsoul Saga was kind of our answer to that. And, we don't want to get into too many details on what's coming in the future, but right now we're just really excited about the War Within and kind of kicking off this, epic storyline with some really fun characters and both new and old that we might have seen in the past. And also, one of the things I'm really excited about with the War Within is just kind of seeing these characters that have been with us for so long, right? When I see, Anduin in the cinematic, it's like, oh, wow, I remember him when he was this tall, right? So having these characters that we've seen kind of grow, and now they're kind of taking a much larger role in the limelight, and watching how they are a part of this saga is going to be something that I think is really fun to see play out.
Yeah, for me, I think it's going to be a lot about the focus on these evergreen features, warbands, delves, hero talents, things that are going to last more than one expansion, then we can sort of focus on going into the rest of the Worldsoul Saga.
So, I mean, it's still early days, but I'd like you to help set this up. Chris went on stage, he says, there's all these questions and all these things that we want to try answering for you, and we will eventually. But starting with War Within, set us up a little bit here. What's leading into it? What should we expect?
We have the Guardians of the Dream update coming up really soon, I believe on next week, and it'll roll out across the different regions. So there's a lot of story left to be told in Dragonflight, and something that it's always one of those fun parts about game development where, hey, we're talking about the next expansion, but the previous one isn't done yet. So that's definitely a part of the remaining story to be told with Dragonflight is, how do we get from Guardians of the Dream to where we're going with the War Within. And I don't want to spoil too much, but there's definitely a lot of really interesting things that'll come up there. But like we saw and like we mentioned, there's this voice that's coming, this call happening from all around the world. And there are some other people who are seeing different things. I'm not sure if everyone caught that, but essentially Illyria is seeing different things than everyone else. And there's a lot of really fun details to come out between the relationship between Illyria and Xal'atath, and how that will lead us not only into the War Within, but also all throughout it.
Speaking of Anduin, who has gone through a lot, let's say, are you familiar with what they're calling him now online? Are you Manduin?
Absolutely, I'm a huge fan of Anduin.
I think that was like 3 seconds into watching the live stream, that was getting spammed in chat. I was like, that didn't take long. And it caught on instantly, which we've got, we call Khadgar sometimes is referred to as Dadgar, so it's only it's only right that Anduin now has his own little moniker.
Tonally, it seems like the cinematic for War Within was very low key, very somber. What was the sort of idea behind that? There was normally a lot of not explosions, but expansive music and themes and stuff like that. But this was very much the opposite of that. What's that?
I can't speak too much, I'm not as involved in that kind of creative process, but from my perspective, just kind of reflecting on that, I think it really just kind of speaks to, something I was saying earlier, with these characters that we've seen grow up, and we've seen kind of the impact on their lives, or rather, we get to see that play out within the game, but I think when you see it happen in the cinematic is really where you see that sink in, right? Seeing the literal pain in Anduin's face as you kind of reflect on yeah, he did see some stuff recently, right? And he had to go away for a while, and we really wanted to look at this as an opportunity to take, that cast of, Anduin, and there's some other, again, I don't want to get into spoilers, but there's some other characters that we've seen kind of grow up with us that will play a major role in the War Within. And we really just wanted to kind of set the stage for that kind of tone moving forward. But again, that's not to say that we're going to, kind of lose sight of that kind of whimsy, silly that you also see with World of Warcraft. I think that's one of the things I love the most about our, IP and our game is, not only is there space for these really deep emotional moments, But then there's also like really silly jokes and fun, whimsy things, and all kinds of interesting characters that'll pop up along the way that'll make us laugh. It's just such a broad spectrum of characters.
And those hats for elves?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
of course. The hats.
The hats.
There's always the hats for a little bit of brevity.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine if all the characters were sad all the time, it would make for a very different.
We want World of Warcraft to be, a place that is inspirational and brings joy to people's lives. So we don't want to lose sight of that. But also, there is the other side of the coin where these characters have, we want to make sure that they feel real and you can join them in their journey to, become who they're meant to be.
And now I know the main focus is wrapping up Dragonflight and then going into War Within, but unfortunately our readers are freaking out just about just the release style or the announcement style, I guess, of the Worldsoul Saga, and it's very MCU-esque almost, the announcement. I don't know if that's what was the feeling like when the team was finding out, oh, we're gonna announce 3 expansions at BlizzCon.
It was super exciting the first time I found out. Like, what a fun endeavor on our end, because we've announced expansions time after time, but like, yeah, why not 3? We have a vision in mind. Let's see how the players react to it, and I think we can all attest to people seem to be digging it.
Yeah. I've definitely been reading, the internets and the comments around like, oh, but I love speculating about what's gonna come next. And what was the name? Avalon. What was the name of the one that everyone Avaloran or something that everyone was like speculating based on some leaks that was gonna be. And it's like, you're gonna miss out on those moments where there's that, stretch of speculation. But certainly with the War Within, there's gonna be a lot of really awesome story that will lead us into the future. We've been developing this game for coming on 20 years, and we're excited to kind of continue it forward for like John said, another 20
for sure. And speaking of the 20 years thing, which is a huge milestone, congratulations. How big was that anniversary for you as a team when you were looking forward to where to go and take the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's very much something that's almost surreal to think about, right? Like, there's so many stories, and especially coming to BlizzCon, I think that's a great reminder of just the impact that this game has had on people. And really that's what energizes us, is seeing our community, hearing their feedback, and getting a chance to interact with them. I was talking to some people who were sharing stories with me where it's like, oh yeah, I taught my son how to play the game so he could farm herbs for me, and now we play reeds together. And I was like, wow, that's so fun. It's like a generational game, and it's brought so many people together.
And those are the stories that I think make things like BlizzCon great. Like, hearing what people sort of come together with and experience is, it's part of the reason why I personally find BlizzCon going to be refreshing and recharging for my creative batteries.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not going to make any comments on that parenting style. I just have to ask though, and this is the last thing, but it's not this. If this was just WoW, I would sort of leave it, right? But it's not just WoW. Like, WoW announced 3 expansions. The Overwatch 2 team announced not 1 hero, but they announced the 2nd hero after that, and even a concept for a 3rd hero. Hearthstone announced catch-up packs, to help these players. Like, is this a company-wide initiative in terms of like being more transparent with players for all the live service games, or?
That's a great question. I can't really speak for other teams, but I mean, really, there's just been. It was a little while ago, but really the philosophy shift really started back for us in, I would say, around the Shadowlands era, where we really took a huge step back and kind of revisited a lot of the things that we've been doing for a long time, and really, just came to the conclusion of like, hey, we've been building this game for a long time, but our audience has, changed and grown a lot, and we need to meet people where they are and really make the game that it will be exciting for our community and exciting for us to create. So there's just been so many shifts that have been happening over time for our team, and certainly an element of that is just really increasing communication. We've been trying really hard to create things like those roadmaps that we've had with all throughout Dragonflight, where it kind of shows like, hey, here's what's coming up, and that was something we haven't done before. But if people have enjoyed that, that's certainly something that we'll take back and talk to the team about. But ultimately, we're here to create a game and, listen to our community and really make changes based on what excites them. That's one of the things that I think, going back into work Monday, I'm sure we'll all have our list of things like, hey, what surprised you? Like, oh wow, people really liked that. Okay, cool. We should talk about that one a bit more.
And we're giving ourselves the time to sort of iterate and listen to player feedback as well, because ultimately, players play our game more than anyone else. We play a lot too, but it's really the game that we're making is for us, but also the majority is for our players. So player feedback is really important for us. So.
And they never cease to surprise us.
No.
And always trying to, be agile and make changes based on, what the community is asking for.
Mm-hmm. And now, story implications aside, leading into War Within, and what can players expect in the coming months for Dragonflight?
Well, certainly, this upcoming week, we have Guardians of the Dream coming out, which it was not stressful at all to have Guardians of the Dream coming up as we're preparing for BlizzCon, but, that's something that will be coming out. And, we talked about today during the deep dive panel, we're actually going to be bringing dragon riding across all of Azeroth. So that'll be something that happens in a future update. And like I mentioned earlier, there's still more story to be told with Dragonflight. We have to get from where we are today to where we saw that we're with the visions in the cinematic, and there's a lot of fun things that happen in between there that also lead us into the War Within and the adventures on Khazal-Gar.
Look, if you want to spoil, I'm not going to stop you, right? But obviously you've announced a very big storytelling initiative going forward. What are you most excited for players to experience in the coming years?
Personally, I'm really excited to see the players' reception to hero talents. I think it's really it's both, concept and narrative driven, because these are based off of popular Warcraft franchise archetypes, but also something that new ones that we're exploring as well. And it's that with a combination of sort of the gameplay aspect that these are going to sort of bring to players' rotations that I'm really looking forward to seeing players' reaction to.
Speaking about myself personally, I'm really stoked about Delves because I love to play, the kind of outdoor world content, play a bunch of different characters. And the closest thing, well, most recently at least, that I have to kind of use as a comparison is like Torghast back in Shadowlands. But, the progression of Torghast was built for the entire player base. So that actually meant like if you're an outdoor world player, you might have not been able to complete all the different levels of Torghast, where Delves are built from the ground up with that audience in mind. So we're really excited to build this progression within this content that players can really like dive into and be excited about all the rewards that they're getting from it, and then have a clear end point where they can be excited to feel like, yes, I've completed this feature, the same way that our raiders and stuff like that have, an end boss to kill. There's, some future things for Delves that are in that same vein, which I think is going to be really fun.
Morgan, George, thank you for joining us. For everything else from BlizzCon 2023, keep it here on IGN.